On 23rd January 1585, in Mulwith, a small village in Yorkshire, England, a little girl was born. 60 years later, on 30th January 1645, she breathed her last in Haworth, another village in England. But in the 6 decades she walked this earth, Mary Ward was involved in activities that have impacted millions of girls and women around the world. You see, Mary Ward lived in a period where girls and women were not expected to go to school. You grew up, got married, and lived happily ever after. This was also a time of great conflict for Roman Catholics in England. Mary Ward and her cohorts decided to traverse Europe on foot, establishing free schools for girls where they taught and mentored other girls to teach after they had left. She strongly supported girls who wanted to act in plays. This was unheard of back then, as all female roles were played by young boys in the Shakespearean era. At one point, she was jailed for 1 year in Munich by the Holy See, Pope Urban, who thought her a danger to Catholicism, which was very rigid back then. Coincidentally, she served time together with Galileo Galilei, who was jailed by the Pope for suggesting that the Earth orbited around the Sun. Interesting times, huh? She eventually settled back in London in 1645, continuing her work until she died during the English Civil War. Fast forward 372 years after her death, and the education system she founded back then, founded on her values of sincerity, freedom, justice, and truth, and which is established within the Catholic Church and its teachings, is a model education system worldwide.
I think perhaps what we owe Mary Ward a lot for was her inside herself to believe she was a creature of God, fully gifted, but with a responsibility to use her gifts and her womanhood in a way that would bring life to others.
With schools in every continent on the planet, the Loreto system of education espouses to produce young, all-rounded ladies who are empowered to be all that they can be. The Institute of the Blessed Virgin Mary, IBVM, popularly known as Loreto Sisters, ran the schools in line with the foundress' teachings. The Catholic Church, after doubting the Institute's intentions those many years ago, now fully supports this system and their activities, and are actually in the process of beautifying the foundress, Mary Ward, who was declared venerable in 209 by Pope Benedict. In Africa, Loreto Msongari is the oldest of these institutions, having been established in 1921, with other schools coming up later in Kenya, Ghana, and Tanzania.
My first mission actually was here in Msongari from 64 to 73 because I happened to have a degree in science, in chemistry, biochemistry and botany. So I did A-level biology and chemistry and of course a big commitment to religion. And then so that were my first years, and 1 or 2 of those I was headmistress. Like people like Colombier here, who was of course one of the pioneers of Loreto Lemuru, though it started in 36, she joined in 48. But I met these women, Carmel, I could name a whole lot of them, but they were just full of passion for their people, and above all hoping that not only would they educate women, but they would educate women with Christian values, with ethics, who would contribute to family life and to the growth of their people and their nation.
I have seen that as a teacher in a Loreto school, your teaching gets to be easier. Because as the students come in and they are taught the values of Mary Ward, and every year we have these values repeated over and over again, and they have the formation with them, then it gets to be easier because you don't have to follow a student to do their homework, or you don't have to follow a student to do what they need to do. They are self-disciplined and they're well motivated. If it is things like projects when it comes to helping the needy, already it is in them. They know as a Mary Ward student that you are able to help the less fortunate.
And basically in my So far, I've taught for 8 years in Msongari. In my 8 years of teaching in Msongari, I see these virtues coming out very well. We see them in our students currently, but also even those who have completed and gone. When they come back, you can see what they are doing outside in the society. And even when they come to talk with their fellow students, you can see the values that they hold. They speak with the conviction of what they are doing, and there's a lot of change that is coming, that they are bringing about in the society.
Maybe I can give an example. Like last year when so many schools were involved in strikes, as a principal, I was not worried about it. Because for us as Loreto or students in a Loreto school, that is something that is really not in their minds. We have taught them to know they should be responsible. If they have a problem or if they have a challenge, they air out their challenge, just like Mary Ward did. She wanted to see girls educated, and she made sure she went to the highest office to make sure that this has been done. It wasn't easy for her, but she had to talk about it. So the same thing the girls have been taught. If you have a problem, if there is anything you feel is not right, then you have the opportunity to be able to talk about it. There are channels that are already there that they can be able to talk about it. So that could be a difference. If I was in a public school, I think it would be a nightmare thinking, what are the students thinking about? But I was relaxed because I knew if the girls have issues, they would bring them to my attention and would be able to solve together amicably.
For me, I feel Loreto was the right choice for my daughters for the simple reason I, as a person, benefited till today in my life the values I got out of being in Msongari. When we were in school, Msongari was one of the better places to be at. Today, it may not be ranking in the upper end of the schools, but the values you get out of being in Loreto is what I chose for my daughters. Simply because Loreto teaches you to be a well-rounded person. And Mary Ward, who was our foundress, she said that women in time will do lots of things. I think the values we got from Msongari, from Loreto, have been with us all through, and it was very, very evident when we had our road accident, how without even a call to most of the ex-students and everybody came in, and that just shows that what they got out of Msongari was obviously of value. We had a lot of girls, and even till today, the girls are being assisted by alumni, the school as well. The school has not let down the girls or anything like that. So that shows that we are what we are today because of what we got from the school.
Right, so I joined Loreto in Standard 1, 1976. So I was there through primary into high school until Form 6 at the time, because it was the old system. So I left in 1988. And so 13 years of a very positive experience. And one of the reasons is that at the time, and hopefully still now, it was one of the schools that focused both on academics as well as non-academic subjects. So you had the opportunity to grow yourself in extracurricular such as sports, music, drama, and many other things, which is what I enjoy. And that's part of my positive experience, which has continued with me in life, because you realize that in life, there's more to life than just the books. And once the schooling ends, there's other things that you can learn to do and enjoy or explore or become very good at. And that is where I think Msongari got it right, and it probably follows the formula of the founder, Mary Ward, that women need to be a full part of society. So while she fought for women's education, we're also fighting for women to become active in many parts of society, and it's not just in the books.
And my observation has been in the past that even these young women, maybe they came out with C pluses or Bs, but they were able to sustain the pace of life and do very well academically because they had inner worth and identity. And I think that's maybe our biggest, that's why I'm saying Msongari, I hope, will never be in the top school in the country. Because if it was, we would lose something of our deeper truth in our private schools, because we choose to educate the person, not for their academic potential to get a great name, because they have a right to be formed to the maximum potential.
My name is Sarah Ruguru Makyo. I have been a student in Loreto Msongari for 11 years. This is currently my 12th year. I'm the mass secretary in this school. Well, what I can say, I've learned a lot from being in this school for the past nearly 12 years. For instance, we learned so many things due to the values that we are taught through Mary Ward, some being sincerity, integrity, freedom, and justice. Well, we learn as women, we need to stand and empower others throughout the world, just as Mary Ward did. And the education system which we currently are in, due to Mary Ward, we tend to learn so many things because it is a Catholic system, as we all know. And in the Catholic system, we learn the Christian and religious sector and also the educational sector. So when you leave school, you tend to have left with so many things and you tend to become someone of substance in the world.
My name is Kushbu Kotak from year 9. I do the British system, so it's year 9. Life in Msongari is amazing. There are so many different kinds of people, like from different races, different cultures, like Christianity, Hinduism. I joined Msongari in 2015 in year 8, and previously I was in SCLP Samaj school. So, a school is a school. There are just different ways of implementing rules. It was a great school as well, but Msongari is a school that gives you the environment to just do anything you want, as far as it's morally right.
With high quality facilities and an earnest desire to influence change, the Loreto Msongari community is at the forefront of achieving Mary Ward's vision of a world where girls are empowered through education to be all they can be, which is evidenced by the great achievements some of them have enjoyed in their career paths.
And when it comes to that aspect of spirituality, we are teaching them to fear God, not only in school but even out of school, out there. So we mostly, the most important aspect is we teach them where God is going to be in their life, regardless of whether they are in school or not. So he takes first position within the school and also out of school.
Having had an opportunity to teach in a school that is not a Loreto or a Mary Ward school, and having taught in Loreto Msongari, a Mary Ward school, I can say that students from those two schools are totally different. When I look at a Mary Ward student, she has the characteristics of Mary Ward. They have been formed that they need to have justice, they need to have freedom, they need to have love, they need to be compassionate, and so on and so forth. And I also look at our great alumni, like when I look at somebody like Professor Judy Wahungu, the Cabinet Secretary Environment. When I look at some of the things she does, or when I listen to her when she's talking, I can be able to identify the Loreto spirit in that she's able to do her work, she's able to be committed to what she's doing, and that again comes from perhaps the background that they got from being Loreto students. I look at somebody like a great journalist like Judy Gishuru, and look at the things that she has done and the accolades that she has received, simply because of the things that she does, the humility in her, and people are able to recognize the things that she does, and are able to just commend her for that. I think all those things, I am sure, had something to do with being Loreto students.
I think perhaps what we owe Mary Ward a lot for was her inside herself to believe she was a creature of God, fully gifted, but with a responsibility to use her gifts and her womanhood in a way that would bring life to others.
She may have died centuries ago, but here is a woman who was called by God in her youth, given a task that will have phenomenal impacts centuries later, executed in superbly with her colleague sisters by the grace of God, and mentored others in a ripple effect that is felt to this day, and hopefully in the millennia to come. All glory be to God. The Venerable Mary Ward, servant of God, incomparable woman, and a blessing to humanity, we salute you.